Aren't we blessed to have such amazing musicianal talent here? Thank you, guys. Also, I want to extend thank you to Melissa Allen and Joe and Justin, who put together that amazing So Happy Together video. Don't you just smile every time you hear that? I knew we had this talk title coming up today. That's the title for today's talk, is So Happy Together. So I asked Justin, I said, hey, you remember that song from a while ago? And he goes, oh yeah, I know that one. I said, can we do that? And they brought together this beautiful manifestation of that song, which is one of the biggest hits on our YouTube channel, by the way. People are really going in to watch that a lot. So I'm thrilled with it. I'm so grateful for the support that we have here. And I want to give a special thank you to Debbie Little, who set the tone for us this morning so beautifully with her meditation this morning, Call to Joy, and then her invocation. It's so nice to take that moment to start our day off in such centered consciousness. And so we are so grateful. And thanks to Joe and Roxy for being here to run all of our technology and get that out there for everybody that's online. Those of you that are joining us online, we're so grateful to have you here. And thank you to everybody here that showed up in person today. Isn't it nice to be back together a little bit more? I just can't wait till we can do it more often. I know I'm very excited about that. There's an energy that happens when we're together that we kind of miss a little bit online, but boy, it sure has been a blessing to have that online capability while we were going through what we've been going through for the last couple of years in our world. So some of you may have heard that we actually have some exciting news coming up here. I made an announcement last Sunday on our online service that we have a new building. We have a new building. Our relocation committee, led by Fran Peterson, has just been working about, as long as I've been here, since December at least, probably started before that, working towards finding us a place. We have looked at hundreds of buildings and locations in town. We've looked through many times that on paper and on the website to see what would work for our community, different locations, different places, and so forth. And it became very clear that renting a place in Las Vegas at this time was not going to be something we wanted to do for any time at all. The costs were quite prohibitive. And so we wanted to be really good stewards of our money, and so we decided to invest it into an actual physical location. And so then we started looking at options for that. We worked with some really great realtors here in town to help us do that. And so we've come across this location. It is on East Harmon, that's where we used to be. It's on East Russell Road. It's about 5 miles from our old center, just east of Sandhill, it's going to be a brand new complex, but it was actually built several years ago and then has just been vacant. And so the buildings are completely on the inside. It's what they call gray shell, which I didn't know that term. That means there's absolutely nothing in them. Nothing. There's gravel on the ground, and there's studs on the walls, and so that's what we have to work with. And we're working with contractors. Fran Peterson and I have met with 3 different contractors here in town, and we're now doing our research to see which one would be the best bid for our church. And so we're looking at fall. With the time that it takes to do the construction, the time that it takes to do the permits, to get that pulled, and then to do the construction, we're putting us at probably late September, October, before we can be in the building. But we are so excited about this. We're actually going to have our own place to meet and a place that we can actually build our community from. And so I know for me, I am beyond over-the-top excited about this idea. I go down there every week or so, and I walk around the building and I pray and I cry because it's such an exciting thing for me to be on the precipice of having something so new and so perfect for our community. We are designing it ourselves, so it's going to be fit for our purpose, and so we're just thrilled to do that. And so because we are at the beginning stages of this, we want your input. We want your involvement in this. And so I had scheduled some visioning sessions this month that were not attended by very many people. So I want to have some other opportunities for people to come together. So please keep an eye out on our email communication for a town hall meeting, a survey coming out, things like this to help get you involved. We want your input, because this is not about the leadership of this community. This is not about the relocation committee. This is not about the minister or the practitioners. This is about the community. This is about everybody, and we are in this together. And this is a place where we can actually be so happy together. And so I really, please look for the opportunities you have to become involved in the process along the way, and join us for those different types of experiences that we're going to be having together. So, in case you're interested, the address is 4080 East Russell Road. If you want to drive by there, it's you can get in it during the daytime, but at night they lock the gate. So if you want to drive by there and just check it out, there's nobody in the place yet, so have at it. Like I said, for me, it's a new spiritual practice to go there and be there on this site of this new, the precipice of this new creation that we're bringing forth. So here at Centers for Spiritual Living this year, we're working with the theme, Living Everyday Wonder. And all of our talks this year are designed to take us on a deeper exploration of what that really means, how we can bring more wonder into our lives, and with wonder comes a sense of awe, a sense of unexplainable connection to that indwelling presence. We get that awe, that sense of the sacred coming into our lives. And so we're working through different ideas to bring that about. In addition to that, we're looking at how to bring more joy into our lives. So bringing in wonder, joy, awe, that's what we're talking about this year here at Centers for Spiritual Living with our 2022 theme. So our theme for this month is play. Each month we take a look at a different life structure and see how we can explore the topics related to that life structure to bring about a greater experience of that wonder and joy into our lives. And so I think it's really fun that we're working with play this month. So far, on my Wednesday night talks, I've been playing with our spiritual practices. We played with meditation, and I did 20 meditations in 20 minutes. If you want to see how to do meditation, go ahead and take a look at that YouTube video. It's quite something. A little fast, but we get through it. Then we played with prayer. And I spoke about a new way of praying, which is called praying in color. You know, those of you that know me know I like to draw on color and craft and things like that. So praying in color is a great way of experiencing a deeper connection with the divine that's a little lighter hearted, it's a little more joyful. And who doesn't like to have a brand new pack of crayons and something to color on? So then we talked about last week playing with affirmations. And went through how we can use affirmations to spark more of that wonder in our lives. You know, affirmations are one of the most simple tools we have, and sometimes we forget to go back to the basics. And so this was an opportunity to do that. This coming Wednesday, we are playing with joy. And then the last week of the month, we're playing with life. And so that's been the Wednesday night talks. And then this week, during the time together, last week we had Reverend Kit Holmes, who talked about laughter, the importance of laughter, and did a little laughing meditation during the service and told a few jokes that I hadn't heard before, so it was a great experience. So today's So Happy Together. So happy together. I like to go back to our principles, our basic understanding of the science of mind when I am doing the talks here. And so our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote what we call the Declaration of Principles. And this is one of the statements from the Declaration of Principles. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe that heaven is not a place that we strive to go to. It's not something that's sitting on those clouds that are up there in the sky that, with all the little heavenly beings looking down upon us. Heaven is within us. And we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it, to the degree that we understand it, to the degree that we see it happening in our lives, to the degree that we practice it. We believe that heaven is within us, and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. So how do we become conscious of this experience of heaven? How do we become more conscious of this in our lives? Well, if we go back to some of our spiritual texts, many times throughout many of the different faith traditions, there is a phrase in these different volumes that have been sacred to so many people throughout the years. In the Bible, it's where two or more are gathered, I am there. Where two or more are gathered, or in most of the translations I saw, where two or three are gathered, I am in the midst of thee. When we come together in community, that feeling that we can develop within ourselves can become magnified. It's one thing to experience joy in your life, and I'm sure many of you have. Somewhere you have something really happy, really great that happens to you. What is your first thought? You want to share it with somebody else. That's the first go-to thing. Who am I going to call to tell them my good news? Because we magnify the experience of joy, the happiness, those euphoric feelings that we have in us when we share them with other people. And so when we can share them with two or three or four or a whole group of people, imagine the power that gets built around that feeling of joy. Everyone around us is celebrating with us, and it becomes a collective experience. And that can only help uplift our consciousness. Ernest says that when we keep ourselves in the present moment and then we share things with other people this way, he writes, the present moment can never provide us with more joy than we are able to embody. So we have to have it within ourselves right then. We have to have that experience of joy within ourselves to be able to bring it forth. And then once we bring it forth, we share it with others, and man, does it expand upon us, our lives. It really becomes more magnified and more joyful in our lives. He goes on to say, the person who is always glad will surround themselves with people who are happy, and life will be continual enjoyment. So when we have that joyful experience and we surround ourselves with other people who are also in a joyful experience, which is one of the reasons we like coming to places like this, because we find people who are like-minded. I don't know how many times I've heard over the past 17 years, I didn't know there were other people that thought like me. And that's why people are attracted to our community, because they find somebody else that thinks like them, someone else who has the same consciousness, and we tap into it. It is like meeting like. And when that happens, there is a burst of joy that comes forth. So, of course, when we are happy, we want to share it with other people in our lives. So, this idea of joy, this expression of joy in our lives, joy, I'm sure you've all heard this, the old adage that misery loves company. I think joy loves company a lot more than misery does. I know when I'm miserable, I really don't want to be around a lot of people. I really don't want to be sharing any of that with other people. I want to, wallow in it myself if I'm miserable. But when I'm joyful, I want people around me. I want to be surrounded by people who are thinking like me, who are excited for me, who get what I am experiencing, who get it at a level that other people can't get. I know there have been many times in my life when I've tried to express something that has been a delight in my life to someone who doesn't quite understand it, and it falls flat. You share something really exciting, and it's just like, oh, that just fizzled out. There was nothing there, because the other person didn't have the same kind of consciousness. And it's not a judgment thing, it's just the way that we're experiencing it. The consciousness wasn't quite there that was receptive to the consciousness that was presenting this idea to them. And so when we are in groups together, when we are so joyful together, when we are experiencing life through the shared experience here, the shared consciousness, then I think we get a greater and greater experience of joy together. It's why singing is so contagious. I mean, how many of you could resist singing So Happy Together with Melissa up there? Unless you're subconscious about your singing ability, which I got over that a long time ago. I remember when I came here and everybody was singing, and I had been ridiculed for my singing for many years, and I said, darn it, I don't care. I'm going to sing, and I'm going to be happy about it, and I don't care if I'm the squawky church lady in the back. I'm singing, and so I do. And I think it's improved. Joe still knows when to mic me. That's the good part about the whole thing. When I started here back in, I accepted the job at the end of October, and since then, there's been a phrase that has been a quote that has been going through my mind. I love the work of Howard Thurman. I shared this yesterday with the practitioners at our practitioner retreat we did. I love the work of Howard Thurman. He's a theologian and a philosopher. Most of his work was done in the 60s, 70s. Powerful, powerful writer, powerful speaker. And one of his quotes, there's a couple of them that I actually have in my office. They're printed out and in my office. But this is the quote that's been coming through to me since I accepted this job, this position back in October. I actually have it for you. This is a paraphrase of it. The original quote says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go and do it. Because what the world needs is people who are alive." Too often we get stuck in the way we want things to be, and we get stuck in the minutia and the details and the busyness and the doingness of stuff, and we forget to go back to what it is that is actually making me happy. Because when I'm happy, and I'm living from that place of happiness, then it is contagious. Joy loves company, just as much as misery does. When I am living from a place of inspired life, I am filled with happiness, I am filled with joy, and wonder just keeps coming through to me. So this is how I presented it to our practitioners yesterday. Don't ask what our center needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go and do that. Because what our center needs is people who are alive. People who are sparked, people who are filled with joy. This is a place where we can actually experience more and more and more of this feeling of wonder and awe and joy through the things that we do together. When we are together in community, there is a shared experience that happens that is not possible when we are by ourselves. When we are in isolation, it just doesn't happen as much. And so for me, this has been the guiding and directing force. What is lighting me up? What is it that brings me the greatest joy in my life? And so that's my question for you today. What is lighting you up? What is it that makes you inspired? What is it that you want to do? Here at Centers for Spiritual Living, you saw it at the very beginning of our presentation here. We say that we are creating a world that works for everyone in all of creation. We are creating a world that works for everyone in all of creation. Who's we? I think this is one of our highest forms of spiritual bypass. It feels really, really good to say we are creating a world that works for everyone in all of creation. But then I have to turn around and I have to ask myself, what am I doing? What am I doing that is creating a world that works for everyone in all of creation? And there can be thousands and thousands of aspects of it. We can look at the way that we use the resources on our planet. Are we using them responsibly? Am I individually being responsible about what I do? Am I individually being conscious about the environment around me? Am I living in a way that makes it sustainable so that the world will continue to work for everyone and all of creation? Over the past 100 years, we have, as a global world, have not done a lot to help our planet out. So am I creating a world that works for everyone in all of creation? Or am I just leaving it to the we and feeling good about saying that? We have an opportunity here to look at what we do individually, each one of us individually. As we are creating this new Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas, we have an opportunity to see where each one of us individually wants to join in, where each one of us wants to be a part of what is unfolding here. It is not completely up to our leadership. It is not completely up to any one individual group, but it is our collective responsibility to bring forth this new endeavor. And so there will be hundreds of opportunities in the next 6 or 7 months for us to do that. I was envisioning last Sunday, and I had this experience of this 6 to 7 months as being our gestation period, our time of letting that seed that has been planted within us germinate and grow, and doing the work that we need to do in consciousness to give it the best environment to grow in. You know, as a mother finds out that she's pregnant, she begins to do things to make a good environment within her body for the most healthy and happy child to be born. And so we can do that work in consciousness. We can do that work ourselves individually to create the environment within ourselves where this new Center for Spiritual Living can be birthed. Because it is up to all of us. So often in Science of Mind, we talk in the collective, as I said before. We envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And we forget to talk about the individual. We know here, as we look at our transformation of consciousness, it moves through several stages. Originally, this was work that was done by several different faith traditions, and Reverend Michael Beckwith put it together into the stages of spiritual development. And he gave each stage a name. And the first stage is the victim consciousness, where things are happening to me, where I'm at the whim of whatever wind is blowing around me. That's the way I'm swaying. And to move from victim consciousness, from something happening to me, into the next stage of consciousness, which is the by me stage, or the manifestor consciousness, we have one simple thing that we have to do. We have to take personal responsibility. In order to move from stage 1, spiritual consciousness, to the next level, stage 2, we have to take personal responsibility. So what I ask for you today is to decide what is your personal responsibility in the development of the new Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. And as I said, we're going to be giving you lots of opportunities to have your input, because it isn't about any one individual. It's about all of us as a community. And so as we go forth from here, ask yourself those questions. Where am I called to work on my consciousness to create a perfect center here? Well, maybe perfect is a little strong, but to create the best center possible for this community. Where am I called to do my work in consciousness? Am I sitting in the past, thinking about how things used to be, and longing for that experience again? Am I sitting in fear, thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to take too long, and what's going to happen, and all of the things, and is it going to be the place I like, and am I going to want to drive that far? And all of the thousands of questions that come through our minds when we're sitting in a sit of fear. So when we get to that place and you start to feel those questions coming up, check in and go back to some spiritual truth that we know, that all is unfolding in divine right timing and order. And do our work in spiritual consciousness to bring that forth. And when there are opportunities to serve on some of the committees and opportunities for you to provide your input, please join in with that. Please join in and give us your input. To talk about my fear, I don't want to be 7, 8, 9, 10 months from now being the minister that brought this thing to the world that people aren't liking. That's my fear. Is I don't want to be having to deal with people not liking what it is that's been created. And that's me being very open and honest and vulnerable. I don't want that. I want your input. Our relocation committee wants your input. Our leadership council wants your input. So please take the opportunities and provide it. As I said, I'm going to send out a survey link in the next couple of weeks here with some ideas, some places for you to give feedback in a more passive way. And then there will be town halls and community meetings to provide your input on this. It doesn't mean that everything you suggest is going to get implemented, but we will implement it, we will take it back into our teams that are developing the different aspects of the community and work with that and see that if that is a feasible thing for our community. I know we have a strong desire to grow and to thrive and to be that transformational place in this area that we know we can be. Those of you that are sitting here in this room are here because your life was changed in some way when you came through those doors. You found something here you wanted. Or if you were like me, you found something here you didn't know you needed. And so we want to be that place where other people find that too. We want to be a thriving, beneficial place here in Southern Nevada and beyond through our online presence, because our online presence is never going away. That is here to stay. And so we will continue always to bring as many things as possible out to our online audiences, because we value our online audiences just as well. And so this is my charge, this is my call to you, is to begin considering where you can do the work to create this world that works for everyone at our brand new Center for Spiritual Living here in Southern Nevada. Let's take this into prayer. Our spiritual mind treatment is a way that we affirm truth. We connect ourselves with that indwelling presence. We feel it alive within our bodies, within our consciousness, within our minds. We speak truth we know, we give great thanks, and then we let it go. And so turning within to that place of deep connection, that heart-centered place within my being, I simply sense and feel the majesty of the divine. And I know that it is that incredible love intelligence that has brought forth everything into creation. Nothing existed before this one. And through its own power, through its own intelligence, through its own energy, it brought forth everything into existence. And therefore, everything is a manifestation of it. Everything we see, everything we feel, everything we do is a complete and perfect emanation of the one. I feel that one alive inside of me. I feel it tingling in my cells. I feel it moving with my breath. I know that it is the guiding and directing force of my life. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for everyone, for everything, for nothing exists outside of this one. And each one of these beloveds, creations of the one, is endowed with everything that the one is, with that sense of perfect peace and harmony, with that creative energy, with that love intelligence. It is moving through all life, through all creation, and manifesting itself perfectly. And so in complete realization of the power and the presence of the one throughout all life, I speak my word. I know that right here and right now, this beloved community is on the precipice of a new and grand experience. That what is being birthed here during this gestation period is a remarkable, transformative force for the lives of every person it touches. And I know that each one of us individually is transformed through the work we do in consciousness to bring it about. And I know that this new building that we are entering into this process of creating a new space for our community is the right and perfect space. For I know the work to get to it was done in deep consciousness. So how could it be anything but perfect? And I know that it is a place of love, a place of peace, a place of growth, a place of transformation for everyone who walks through its doors. How good it is to know this, how good it is to feel it, how good it is to know that excitement that is bubbling up inside of me at the thought of this new endeavor. I just give great thanks. And I release this word into the law that always says yes, that knows no lack, no limitation, that never hesitates, that simply manifests. I let it go and I let it be. And if you will affirm that with me by saying, and so it is. Amen.